featured speaker tonight, the real band, is radio, a talk show host, Chris Salcedo. I usually print out something when I'm going to do the introductions for speakers, but I didn't do that this time because even though I just met this young man this evening for the first time, I feel like we've been friends for a long time because I listen to his show every single day. Well, every single day that it's humanly possible. Sometimes I have meetings. But he's on WBAP from 9 o'clock in the morning until 11. If you don't listen to him, I highly recommend that you do. He is a staunch conservative, a defender of liberty, and I find myself saying, yes, Chris, yes, you're right. And I've even called the show a couple times, so. Tune into his show. He also has a background in news, TV news. He's worked for CBS Channel 11 and Channel 21, I forget the letters, but here locally in Dallas. He's originally from California. And we're happy that he has abandoned the liberal Republic of California and escaped and joined us here in Texas. So please welcome your liberty-loving Latino, Chris Salcedo.
Howdy. Howdy. Housekeeping first. Down in Hunt County, to dovetail a little bit what the senator was talking about, the ISDs down there, 8 of them, have implemented already some of the governor's recommendations, opening up the classrooms, setting aside some office space for our troopers, for our Texas troopers. Think about how much, of all of the proposals the governor put out, this one was, I think, the most genius. Number one, what's the net effect? You're going to have police officers wandering in and out of that class, out of that school, all day long. As they come in, they go on their lunch break, they go on their coffee breaks, they fill out their reports, they're in the school. And they're in and out, they may go to the water cooler, they may go to the cafeteria, buy some lunch. What else are they going to be doing? They're going to be high-fiving our kids. Hey, how you doing? Hey, yeah, you know, I think I'm thinking about being a police officer when I grow up. Well, really, that's great. Think about how that's going to counter the left's message that our police officers are not to be trusted anymore. So Texas is doing it right. Another bit of housekeeping. I had persuaded Victoria Nieve to come to the meeting and address you all tonight, but she's not made it here, and I saw a DUI checkpoint just a few miles down the road. I figured out why she was able to make it. You really thought you were going to be the only skunk going to speak. Another liberty-loving Latino right there, ladies and gentlemen. And I feel compelled to expand on why I call myself a liberty-loving Latino. It is because I am a contrast to loudmouth leftist Latinos out there. And there is a debate going on inside of the Hispanic community that looks an awful like the debate going on writ large around this entire country. And I resent those inside of the basket of biased press who try to say, well, you're a conservative, so you're not really a Latino. Really, I get shocked to my parents. Other bit of housekeeping. The Salcedo Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, yes. The Salcedo Show also on AM 700 KSEV down in Houston, yes. We have expanded into television on the Vida Television Network. We're the only political, it's a family-friendly network. So I got to watch, you know, sometimes I'll let a HE double hockey sticks get into my vocabulary, and then I got to be very careful, but it's family-friendly, and it's basically a Latino-based, internet-based so far, but it started out in South Carolina, on Roku and Fire Stick. And then coming on Labor Day, AmericasVoiceNews.com goes from the streaming audio that you can see, or video, that's happening right now, to broadcast on 15 million homes on DirecTV. So we will be there, along with shows like Diamond and Silk. So So you can catch like 4 venues so far of the Salcedo show, and we're hoping to expand. I'm trying to get some knucklehead in San Antonio to put me on. Then that'd be fun. Trying to get some other stations interested in the show so they can carry us. Because I think we have a pretty good message and a pretty good story to tell. The way I do speeches, I get about 20 minutes of priming the pump, and then I just turn this into a talk show. And you guys, by the way, how many of you guys listened to the show today? Just show of hands, just today. Okay, some of this is going to be review. okay. Just so you know, maybe a little bit different take, because it's just you and us and the cameras. So yeah, I really appreciate being able to talk in person because it gets the personal feedback. And how many of you have a hard time getting through sometimes on the phone whenever I really want to call him and you can't. So it is wonderful to get them. Except for Maggie, she always gets through. No matter what Maggie always gets through. I don't know how she does it. I'm not sure who she's bribing at AT&T, but she gets through. Yeah, there's that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are on my mind today. How many of you received text messages from? Well, I've been calling him Robbie O'Rourke because Robbie is, that Robert is his real name. How many of you in this room know that Beto O'Rourke is not Hispanic? Yes. How many of you know? How many of you didn't know before I just told you? Yeah. Anybody know what ethnicity Robbie O'Rourke is? Irish. He's Irish. He's Irish. Kissing the Blarney Stone and all, don't you know? And boy, does this guy know how to shovel a lot of Blarney, doesn't he? Yeah. So we refuse on the show to call him Beto. Because I have a cousin who's named Beto. I say, you don't look at all and sound like my cousin Beto. You really don't. So he's a cultural appropriator, and of course, that is a left-wing invention. You all know that cultural appropriation is, wait a minute, you can't be Jeff Sessions and go down to Houston and eat in a Mexican restaurant because you hate Hispanics. Did you guys see that story? Yes. Oh yeah? Easy. Picture, now look, granted, I don't think Jeff Sessions is living up to being a really good Attorney General. I don't think I'm trying to defend him as the job he's doing in the Trump administration, but I can't say it would be an honor to get pictured with the sitting U.S. Attorney General. Except for Eric Holder, I don't think I want to do that. And everybody else, fine. Even Loretta Lynch. She's too busy meeting on the tarmac with Clinton. When she's done meeting on the tarmac, I'd like to have a picture with her. That'd be all right. But anyway, so I look at Beto and Robbie O'Rourke, and he's texting everybody all over Texas. How many of you received a text? How many of you just ignored it? Raise a show of hands. Ah, good. I have something for you. How many of you responded and said, "Go Cruise," or something to that effect? Yeah. I have been talking with some individuals about the rather unsophisticated technology they're using in the Robbie O'Rourke campaign. If you have not received a text or you haven't responded yet, here's what I want you to do. Engage them. Really, tell me more. And drag out the conversation for weeks, if you can. No, I'm being serious. Because all of the California money that's coming in to fund his campaign, all of Alyssa Milano's cash, all of Rosie O'Donnell's cash, that money will be burned up by conservatives. And then give them their payoff at the end. As long, when they finally say, "Can we count on your vote?" Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then pull the lever for Ted Cruz. This will screw up their data. This will mess up their financing and their campaign. And be prepared when you see all of the basket of biased press coming on. Well, it looks like Beto O'Rourke, according to his campaign, he's really campaigning well. I mean, he's got Texas all behind him. And you will all know. You guys remember Rush Limbaugh doing Operation Chaos, right? This will be our own little, don't tell anybody else. Be our own little Operation Chaos. So screw with Robbie O'Rourke, because I guarantee you that's precisely what he wants to do with Texas. Now I've come up with a new name for Look, I gotta be honest with you. I'm always honest with the audience. I'm getting blowback from my boss at WBAP, and blowback from my producing staff. Nobody knows what you're talking about when you're talking about Robbie O'Rourke. Stop giving the nickname. So I said, okay, fine. Let me think of, how about Beta O'Rourke? Do you guys get the reference when I call him Beta?
Oh, yeah.
How many of you guys heard the term alpha male? You know what an alpha male is? Let me give you an example of alpha male. We're gonna build a wall. It's a big, beautiful wall. Isn't that right, President Trump? President Trump is an alpha male. It is a reference to the wolf pack, and it is a guy who is a man's man. Manly men doing manly things. That is an alpha male. That's not Robbie O'Rourke. He's a beta male. So we call him Beta O'Rourke. How about that? You guys like that? So I get to tell my boss I went to the Northeast Tarrant County Tea Party, and they approve, so what are you complaining about? By the way, tell a few thousand of your friends about the show. Just a personal favor to me. The other thing, and look, and these discussions often are launched on what's going on the day, and your Liberty Loving Latino here got on the radar screen of MSNBC and Mediaite. I did a hit on Fox News last week, and it was about this disgraceful display up in Philadelphia. You know about the sanctuary city policies that paved the way for a 5-year-old little girl to be raped.
Yeah.
The same sanctuary city policy that plagues us in Dallas, the same sanctuary city policy that plagues us in Austin, the same sanctuary city policy that plagues us in Houston. Those sanctuary city policies, which say, hey, I've got an illegal alien felon, a known illegal alien felon, I got a great idea, let's let him out. So we can play that American citizen, and that American citizen, and that American citizen. I don't care whether they're black, brown, white. It's a sin what they have done in these sanctuary cities. It is criminal what they have done in these sanctuary cities. Caller called up to my program in Houston when I brought this up, said, you know, in America, if you're a bartender and you serve a guy too much alcohol, you serve a gal too much alcohol, they go out and hurt somebody or, God forbid, kill somebody, like Victoria Naylor. They go out and hurt somebody. The bartender who served them can be in trouble with the law. Yet we're to believe the mayor of Philadelphia, who says, we are a sanctuary city, yeah. Did you guys see the video of that? We are a sanctuary city, yeah. The mayor of Philadelphia, a high-profile Democrat, high-fiving the policy that paved the way for the rape of a 5-year-old child. I said on Fox News that if every Republican running in a race doesn't play that over and over and over and over again, I really question the national GOP's desire to win. If Donald Trump isn't making that part of his stump speech when he's going out, and God, I love his rallies, go to every single rally and say, did you see this idiot in Philadelphia doing a jig and singing? Now, Mediaite and MSNBS didn't want to talk about that part of what I was talking about with Fox News. Fox News, when I was coming on the air, said, hey, did you hear what Kanye did yesterday? I said, Kanye West? I said, yeah. They played the soundbite for me. Oh, I've been talking about this for years in the show, what I've called the Great Black Awakening. So I said, sure, I'll comment on it. So I get on the air, and they asked me about Kanye, and I said, well, you know, this is part of the Great Black Awakening, and part of the issue here is that many of the black community are waking up and saying, I'm seeing the Democrat Party out there standing up for illegal aliens everywhere they go. Oh, we're really distressed about taking children out of the custody of their criminal parents. We should be jailing the children along with their criminal parents. I'm saying to them, wait, you're advocating what? In the United States, we don't do that. We don't punish children by putting them in jail with their parents. We don't do that. What are you, nuts? Oh, it's not very humane. Well, it's not very humane to drag them across the desert and try to break into a country illegally either. So I said that the Democrats have pivoted to a foreigners first policy. Folks, I'm not talking at a school here. This is what they're running on. Yeah. Illegal aliens, woo! And I said, those in the black community are starting to wake up saying, and this is not, I didn't get this from your Liberty Living Latino here. I got this from a bunch of Chicago activists who were piping up during the Obama era, basically saying the only thing that we've been given by the Democrat Party is abortion on demand. We all know about where Planned Parenthood, what I call the butcher shop, where they set up their clinics. We all know that's all in poor, underserved neighborhoods, black, Hispanic. We all know about the Guttmacher Institute study that said that minority communities are disproportionately affected by abortion than any other population in the United States. They have more than their fair share. Why? Because they're targeted. Right. And we all know it. So I said, well, that's been pretty effective. If you look at the last census, the 2016 mid-census, you will know that as a percentage of our overall population, the black community is on the decline. And the Democrats see that, well, that doesn't seem a very growing, viable voting base, so let's chuck them overboard and go over here for the illegal aliens that we're importing from all over the globe. The strategy is being played out right there in front of our eyes. So I said that. And MSNBC lost their minds. They trotted out Michael Steele, this alleged Republican. You guys remember him when he was the RNC chairman, who, if I remember correctly, sucked at the job. Michael Steele jumps on there and calls me crazy. This is just the craziness, and you know what? There's a whole bunch of white people out there who don't, in my party and in your party, he says, the Republican Party says, in my party and in the Democrat Party, who don't like the changing demographics in America. And by 2043, the majority of Americans will not be white. That's what you're hearing out there. And I said, excuse me, Michael Steele, what part of this looks like white to you, bucko? So he completely forgot about who he was talking about as he was bashing me and calling me crazy. And so I got on the air today and I said, well, you know what, maybe Michael Steele, he's so in touch with the black community that he missed that shameful stat in 2012 that said more black babies were aborted than born in New York City. Michael Steele's so danged engaged in the black community, he missed that. He missed the stat about a little over a year later from Mississippi that said that 72% of the abortions in that state are performed to black mothers. But I'm the crazy one, right? I'm the nutty one, according to MSNBS and media. I picked up on it all, and the left-wingers just lost their minds. So I get on and say the good thing about me, and it's sad for other people like my good buddy, well, Kevin Jackson. Kevin Jackson has his own show too, so he doesn't have to accept this. But other people who are ignored by the basket of biased press, for not people like me, because we don't follow the orthodoxy. We're not on a liberal plantation. So according to them, we don't exist. Katie Tur, who was the anchor on MSNBS for that segment, said, some Hispanic conservative, when she referred to me, she wouldn't even say my name. And I said, well, and by the way, you guys have heard what they're doing to Laura Ingraham. She says that America's changing demographics. It's not the same, it's changing America. The America we know is changing because, and I know what she meant. She was talking about assimilation. Nobody's insisting that we become Americans anymore when we come here from all over the globe. Nobody's insisting on that. We should. Our culture is worth fighting for. She says something that's patently obvious about changing demographics, and they say, well, that's a pretty racist thing for Laura Ingraham to say over at MSNBC, and they trot this out, and they say it over and over and over and over again. And then, then of course, Katie Tur comes on and says, yes, this Hispanic guy. Well, I guess we all look the same to Katie Tur, don't we? Oh, if it's good for them to find racism under every corner, can't I? Exactly. Why can't I? Oh, you can't do that to liberals? We don't take our own medicine very well. Which is part of the power of the Chris Salcedo show and others. Candace Owens, you see she's speaking out. Yes. You see as I said, Kevin Jackson, and many other conservatives, Deanna Metzger. They don't know what to do with us, so they try to ignore us, and then they call us crazy on national television. Michael Steele was on national television saying he was calling me nuts, calling me crazy, saying I was pulling this out of some place where the sun doesn't shine. And then he cited no stats. He cited no evidence for what he was saying about me. Oh, I had plenty. And I rolled down the air today, and the good news is I don't have to let them define me. You know, I got a buddy of mine, I was telling somebody earlier, I got a buddy of mine that said, hey, those Tea Partiers, racists. I said, yeah, they're so racist they invited me to come out and speak in front of them. Don't let them define you. We are Americans, by God. We have a First Amendment right, and use it before they try to take it away because they're trying. So, what have we learned? What's a Beto? Beta. What's a beta? And don't let them define you. The basket of biased press, I call them that for a reason. I worked with them, I know how they think, and it's not fair. They're not treating us fairly, and we have to start demanding they treat us fairly. Or we find our own way. If Twitter is shadow banning us, then well, we find some entrepreneurs out there that will create a platform that is truly free. If Facebook is getting rid of Diamond and Silk and driving the traffic down to allow conservative publications, then we find something new. The one thing our president, now look, do I agree with everything our president says? No, about 9, well, actually I agree with about 95% of what he does. No, the way he says it, hey, I just got on national television and said the Democrats are shucking the black community for illegal aliens so they go to, and they're giving them a vote. That's one thing I forgot. They're giving them the vote. Michael Steele, this is just crazy. He must have missed San Francisco giving illegal aliens the vote in their local elections. He must have missed Maryland, several cities around Maryland giving illegal aliens the vote in their local districts. By the way, you're talking to a reporter at CBS 11 who did a story. Oh, did I catch hell for this? I did a story that here in Texas, in conservative Texas, there are non-citizens on the voter rolls. Here in Texas. No, in California, they're just gonna keep them voting in the local elections. They won't vote for anybody else, for governor. They won't vote for their representatives, their senators. Oh, you're right. Tell me the safeguards again that you have out there in California. Oh, we got this motor voter law. You know, you get a driver's license and you get registered to vote. Do you give illegal aliens driver's licenses? Oh, you bet. Please. Who the heck do they think they're fooling? Who do they think they're fooling? Don't believe your lying eyes, they will tell you. And it's, man alive. And so Michael Steele, yeah, I mean, this guy's just crazy. It's like, dude, have you been even paying attention? You've got to come up for air from MSNBC and look around a little bit. So the evidence is right there in front of us. And I'll grant you that it's a theory. And I think that there are other explanations for the decline in the black population, but I am not discounting abortion. It's a major one. It is a huge one. 60 million children have been aborted since Roe versus Wade. 60 million. It's a disgrace. It's an Alyssa Milano. Hold on a second. Let me just pull out my Twitter. Hold on a second. I wanted to read it verbatim. Alyssa Milano is out there tweeting. She must be doing it in a Barack Obama voice. Let me be clear. So she said, that's how she starts it off. Let me be clear. I'm thinking, dude, you've been watching too much Obama tape. Let me be clear. Brett Kavanaugh is a threat to our health care, and we are not backing down. Good for you, princess. I said, abortion isn't health care. In fact, it's just the opposite. It kills something. Obamacare isn't health care. Do your homework, princess. That's what I said. Do not shrink from these people. The Democrat Party is full of a bunch of emotional people who have the intellectual honesty of a toadstool. Do not back down from these people. I guarantee the kids that are playing in the back have more intellectual honesty and more intelligence and better hearts than any one of these lives. I've talked enough. Oh, you want more? Don't worry, I'll have a lot more to say when you all... who wants to be the runner? Another Chris, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to make sure that you come in first. All the cool people in this world are named Chris. Raise your hand if you want to ask a question. We'll talk way back there. Young man, hey, are you a millennial? Or are you before millennials?
Yeah, I'm a millennial.
Okay. I am so as a Generation Xer, I am fascinated by your generation.
Okay, my question is, so after Trump's in office for 8 years, we've got...
you get applaud for that, by
5%, 5% GDP growth, we've got record low unemployment, we've got all these jobs coming back, and blacks still vote Democrat 90%, and Latinos still vote 66%. What then? What do we do then?
I'm glad. You must. Do you listen to the show? You should if you don't. How much of the black vote did Donald Trump get up on election? Anybody know? 8%, right? A little bit more than McCain. Little bit more than Romney. What was Donald Trump's support among blacks 1 year later, 2017? 17%. It doubled in 1 year. What was his support among blacks today? 29%. You see, the fallacy is that all minorities are just looking for the government check. Who tells us that? Our political opposition tells us that. You know, I always love when they say, you know, if you're standing up for border immigration, you're just a racist. If you're standing up for border laws, you're just a racist. And this is something for the future. When you hear some of your more progressive friends, and I know you've got them. I know you've got them. None, not even one. I'm to the right of, you know, like Rush Limbaugh, and I have the liberal friends. But when they hit you with that, you say to them, oh, that's very interesting. Do me a favor. Tell me what race illegal is. I'm sorry, liberal, can you speak up a little bit more? Tell me what race illegal is. Because I'd be very interested in knowing that. Tell me what you think, liberal. They don't, and watch the smoke come up from their head as the gears turn and they realize they've backed themselves into a corner. This idea that enforcing law is somehow racist is stupid. And they need to be called out for it. So, my answer to you is this. The demographics are changing. Every time I get on Fox News, I get a Latino from somewhere around the country saying, I thought I was the only one. No, I'm dead serious. And this happened to me. How many of you guys remember Roger Hitchcock? He used to fill in for Rush every once in a while. He was from San Diego. He used to be the mayor out there, talk show host. Good friend of mine. My first time I got on talk radio, when I filled in for him, he says, hey, Chris, you might want to check this out. I'm like, what is this? It's the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, RNHA. By the way, that's a very ineffective, all they do is go around to cocktail parties and they do nothing really. But, I was your age and I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. CNN wants you to think, wants us to think that we're the only ones. That's why you never see somebody like me on CNN or on MSNBC. They can't afford to bust the narrative. Trump does it. You know how he does it? What the hell have you got to lose? And they took a chance, and it's paying off. So I think prosperity and an America back to the way where freedom and liberty reign is a very powerful persuader. The Democrats, I think they see the way this is all playing out, and that's why they're doing everything they can to stop it. Because some of the Democrats who have been around for a while, who remember Reagan, they don't want to allow this to happen again. They didn't recover from Reagan, do you realize, until Obama? Really? So Trump could give a lasting legacy that would benefit us all. And I think, we go through these ebbs and flows, and I was thinking about this the other day. The conservative movement is always there in some form or fashion, but the Republicans, man alive. It's, from Barry Goldwater to Jeb Bush. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, it's, thank God. By the way, I forgot to mention this. Thank God for the Freedom Caucus here in Texas. And you know who you can blame for your property taxes going out of control right now? That's the other side, Joe Strauss and his Democrats. And we're rid of Joe Strauss. Some folks said that they thought that I might have played a part in that. I don't know. I'm calling him a Democrat, saying he was, he was the Texas Barack Obama. I don't know if that played. I mean, there's still Dan Hubert, there's still Sarah Davis, who might as well be Wendy Davis for all I care. They have the same conviction, the same core. But, we have still some work to do, but our buddies at Empower Texans are working very hard. I know you all are working very hard. And just keep on keeping on. We're making a difference. Next question. Chris is going to make, hello.
Hello. So I have a two-part question and a statement. We have been block walking for Deanna literally every week and pretty much almost every day since she's
in the rain.
In the rain, sleet or snow, whatever, we're out there. It's interesting because we have actually come across several predominantly black voters that have turned against, and they are totally all in for the Republican Party. And it is so refreshing and exciting to see their hunger for truth and their hunger for a free market and jobs. And it's so inspiring to see how excited they are for their future for the first time in years, many years. So my question to you is, we see this in the black community. How are we going to get this twofold in the Hispanic community so that they're just as, and I know we see it, but we don't see any real tangible movement that you see that Trump is heralding the black community, and that we don't really see them heralding the Hispanics that are doing the same thing, because they weren't sort of captured into the welfare trap, like as much as, and they are, for the most part, entrepreneurial anyway. And my second part of that question is, what about these kids that are generationally being indoctrinated against capitalism and
the socialism movement?
Yes.
Well, let me deal with number two first. You guys know that the fastest growing clubs around the nation's college campuses, socialist clubs.
Yeah.
And what can you do other than, do our best? This is some place where the Republicans have really fallen down.
Yes.
They've given up control of the government-run schools.
Exactly.
They've given up their influence. They've given up their, we'll just turn it over to the libs. What can go wrong? What can go wrong? It got so bad here in the state of Texas that there was public money being spent on political campaigns inside of these school districts to defeat Dan Patrick, to defeat others who were conservative, who thought, it might be a good idea to give parents a choice. I mean, you progressives are so pro-choice in everything except for how to educate our children. What's that about? That's number one. Donald Trump is doing a great job. He's the only one trumpeting record low unemployment for Hispanics, record low unemployment for Asians, record low unemployment for blacks. By the way, record low unemployment for whites. Why are they always left out?
Right.
You got these numbskulls too. These. Did you guys see Unite the Right 2 was on in front of the White House? Racists are so desperate now they have to lie to get people to show up to their rallies. Last year on the Unite the Right in Charlottesville, there was a group of people that left here from Austin. It was blacks, whites, Asians who said, you know what, we just don't think you ought to be ripping down historical monuments. We just don't think that's right. You know, we think of it as kind of like what the Nazis did with burning books. We don't think you ought to be whitewashing history. So they go over there because it's billed as Unite the Right. So it must be conservative, right? Well, it's a bunch of white supremacists there. The guy comes on my show and says, man, Kristen, I feel duped. And then all of a sudden, Antifa start, you know, the Democrats' militant arm, they start throwing punches, and the Nazis start throwing punches, and they're caught in the middle going, oh my gosh, what do we do? This year, everybody knows who Jason Kessler is. Everybody knows about Unite the Right. You know how people showed up? 21. When the racists, when the KKK members, when the idiots who are racists have to, once they're outed, nobody wants anything to do with them. And by the way, for the press who are interested in premium accuracy, Donald Trump is president right now, and look, they couldn't even attract 21 people out to a racist rally. All about that. The race situation is getting so much worse under Donald Trump. Were you around for Barack Obama? I mean, were you awake for Barack Obama and how he fanned those flames of racism? Good grief. We've got to start taking control back of the government-run schools. We have got to defang the government-run schools, which have become tools of the American left. There's no other way to say that. The way to do it is you defund them. You give parents the choice, saying, okay, if you want, here's your funding. Show me your curriculum. Well, we're going to be talking about racial studies and how the whites improperly conquered America, and then they set up a totalitarian slave state that exists to this day. I don't think my children will be coming to your school.
Right.
I don't think my children, what are you teaching them? Well, we're going to teach about the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, how the Constitution was the most magnificent document ever constructed by man that created an economic system that helped pave the way for an economic system where the success of one person multiplied the success of other people, called capitalism. Praise God, we get to free enterprise. Oh, my kids are going to your school. Where can I sign up? I've got all the money the state and the federal government set aside for my child's education. Here you go. Until we insist on that, we're going to continue to have this problem. And look at the educrats who are fighting us on this. What are they? I had a teacher, I'm a conservative, and I can't believe what you said. Hinojosa over in Dallas was really upset the other day that his schools were going to get graded. The little word we call accountability. He's like, I can't stand that word. No, accountability. He was very upset. We wouldn't want to stigmatize our schools. Well, why the heck not? If you're not performing and you're failing our schools and you're failing our children, stigmatize away because you're not doing your job. Well, I don't think that's right to make administrators who are making 6 figures feel bad. Well, I'm sorry. You got the Grand Prairie ISD superintendent pulling down $399,000 a year. They give her a dang house on 5 acres that they renovate. She pays $1,000 a month. Oh, but she's worth it. Because Grand Prairie ISD is sailing right now in academic achievement, aren't they? Oh no, what happened? Did he fall in? Oh, on the ice. Oh, jeez. That's who we're fighting for, by the way.
That's right.
So, there was a Forbes article that came out. We talked about it on the show. It was something like 7,300 positions here in the state of Texas. 7,300 positions are making 6 figures in the government-run education system. Did you all hear that? Did the local ABC affiliate cover it? Did the local NBC affiliate cover it? Did the local Fox affiliate cover it? No! Unless you were listening to the Chris Salcedo show, you didn't know! But we don't have enough money. You're paying these administrators lavish contracts. There was one music teacher who was pulling down, what was it? $300,000 a year for a music teacher. Now look, I love music and I love music appreciation. I don't love music appreciation that much when maybe the mathematics teacher, or the physics teacher, or the grammar teacher, for crying out loud, the English teacher might deserve a little bump up. You want to distribute that a little bit more evenly, you think? So look, when you let the educrats run things, the priorities get all screwed up. And we're living it, even in conservative Texas. Yep. We have to lead the way. And we can. There is a way to turn around our education system. We're not, I love this, well, we're not performing very well. And it's all because of you Republicans, all because of you conservatives. If you just gave us more money, hell, you can't handle the money you're already given. Why am I going to give you more? You can't manage what you're already given. And you know who suffers? The kids and our teachers. Our teachers on their meager salaries are having to go and buy school supplies because the superintendent needs a 5-acre house that's subsidized by the taxpayers. But they don't have any money. Yeah, it's no wonder. No business can survive like this. So, and I didn't even get into the whole cultural influence of what's being taught. Common Core is here, by the way. I know it's prohibited, but it's here. You know why? Yeah, they're paying their way. They're here. I know a lot of guys, they're doing great work in education. And they tell me this, it's already here. What the people want, yeah, it's immaterial. You know why? Because we gave up our power. We gave up the power of the purse. And by God, it's time we take it back. I have yammered enough. Sir?
You know, property taxes are a very hot topic. And one thing that I noticed from looking at some school finance issues, in 2017, we paid $1.1 billion more in property taxes. The education budget went up $896.5 million. The state contribution from our legislators came down just under $400 million in 2017. So I think it's important as we talk about school finance, look at the bottom line. There's always more to the story. I say that as a teacher.
Right. Well, no. Again, you're not the problem. The system you're forced to work in is the problem. The system cannot work as it's constituted now. It cannot work because there's no accountability. Tell me, if you were running the schools, they don't ask you, do they, about how you would allocate money or where you would put it.
No, sir, but I've looked at nationwide, and we are, depending on the study, we look at between 36 and 47 on how we fund education for students in this country.
Right? Who leads the world in the most spending per capita per student?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
It is the United States of America. We spend more per student. Say again?
I know Finland spends more than
No, not in real dollars. Not in real dollars. The United States of America, the last survey I saw, tops spending per pupil in the United States. You know what that earns us in academic achievement?
We're down at 32 on the nation.
You're right. It's the middle of the bottom.
Which is matched with our... And
you are not to blame. I'm going to, 99, I have teachers who are in my family. 99.9% of the teachers in this country are fantastic, salt of the earth people who want to do a good job. They're not given the resources to do it. You're not given the resources to do it. Why? Because administration has different plans for that money. If the core of government-run schools was to educate children, we wouldn't have the problem. That's supposed to be their mission. It's not. If it were, then the money would go to the classroom first, to the student first, and then all the administration would get to pick what was left over. But that's not the way it works, is it? And you know better than most. That's not the way it works. It's trickled down from administration, and individuals will get to take a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and then whatever's left over, then the teachers get it. And they got to beg and scrape and plead for a raise. And then you're buying, I had a buddy of mine who's a teacher. He had to get into, he had to go on GoFundMe to raise money to get tablets for his kids in school. I go, what are you doing that? He goes, it's gonna be great for the kids. No, I understand, but why are you doing it? The system is a failure, not you. Government control, look away, it's done wonders for the Veterans Administration, hasn't it?
The Indians.
Why do you think that the Democrats don't want to give up the VA? You can't privatize that. Yeah, why? Because it'll fix it. The Salcedo show axiom goes like this. It is best not to give government more power, lest it be abused. The more power is given, it takes it away from the citizenry, and it puts it in the hands of bureaucrats. Does the name Dwayne Caraway ring a bell with you? Dallas County Schools. Oh, it was for the kids. My $450,000 ripoff of the taxpayers. That can't be allowed to happen. You can't consolidate that kind of power in unaccountable bureaucrats. You know where the power belongs? We, the people, the parents. I guarantee you that if you're a great performing teacher, or you're working in a school that puts academics and academic achievement first, that you are going to attract, it's called the free market. If you're succeeding, you're going to get the money. You're going to get more, you're going to be finally paid what you're worth. Because that's what freedom does. That's what liberty does. You give the parents the choice, they're going to do the investigation, they're going to see how they can divert funds to a place that's going to allow their children to be educated. Right now they're told, well, go to the school board meeting and complain.
Well, then they call you, they'll shame you and say you're against education.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's how I see. Exactly. That's how I started this conversation. A conservative teacher called up and say, "Oh, I heard you railing against teachers." I go, I didn't say one thing about teachers. I talked about Hinojosa, a superintendent, doesn't want accountability. I talked about a failing system that is failing not only our teachers, not only failing the society, but at bottom, failing our kids. Right. If it's not working, it's time to throw that book out and start anew. Put yourself in the position of a government employee, and that's what you are. You're a government employee. It's the government-run schools. That's right. I came from, I did a stint in Washington, D.C. I know I'm getting the hook. I did a stint in Washington, D.C. Individuals that lived in Northern Virginia. It was all populated by a whole bunch of folks who were working for government. You know who they voted for? Democrats. Because there was one party promising to expand government and raise taxes and make sure government got bigger and bigger and more unaccountable and greasing this politician's skin and this politician's skins. There's a reason for it. You give the power to the people and things are going to, the free market will fix that. Now, not all of it. I don't want to be too cavalier. But a lot of the ills in our government-run system will change once parents have the power of the purse. Because and I guarantee it'll change overnight. Because all of a sudden, the administrators, the superintendents are no longer fearful of the teachers' unions or the collective bargaining folks all over this country. They're fearful of the parents. How am I going to convince that parent that my school is the best for their child? And by God, it better be reading, writing, arithmetic, and that's our emphasis. And I want to hear about the social engineering BS that we're forced to. If you want to go learn about man-made global warming, that's all well and good. If you want to take it in a science class, okay. But you're not going to find it in music class. So, like I said, I think the conservative way of approaching this is going to make sure that our teachers are paid what they're worth and that our kids get educated. And that's at bottom what it's all about, what it's supposed to be about. And And I think one thing we and I can probably agree on, funds are not being spent where they need to be spent right now. I think you and I can agree on that. I think I'm done, guys. And normally I have a book to give away, but I ran out. Liberty Rises is the name of the book, so I would normally have a whole bunch here, and I don't have any more.